Hey everybody, Billy Bob is here in the HQ, the headquarters. The weather outside is sucky. Been sucky all day. It's half sucky yesterday, but gray, it's rumbling, it's bumbling, but it ain't really raining. It's spitting here and there. It's supposed to rain here soon. I'm doing this at about 4:10 Eastern time for all you clock watchers. So, hey, I got a little growth going on here. I was going to shave this morning, but Mrs. Billy Bob says, I think you need to be a little rebel, a little outlaw. So I'm going to be a little outlaw. We'll see how long it lasts, but, maybe, and I'm letting my hair grow. It's getting long, but it curls up. So don't worry, folks. No ponytails in the backyard or the backyard barbecue, either one. That ain't going to happen. But I may get a shaggy. I was going to go without a hat, but got some roots. Just saying. Went to Pops yesterday, week 1 of the NFL. Browns, Bengals, Battle of Ohio. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But went there, hanging out with all the buds. A lot of people we know, but more specifically, Jen and Brian. And we had a good old time. I had a bucket of beer, and then I was like, okay, I better not have another bucket, because there's a lot of pressure. If you have a second bucket, you got to drink it all, right? So I went one at a time. I probably should have went with 2 buckets, because one at a time, I probably had 3 more beers than I needed, and then, no, I won't tell you that story. Everybody has their own story about peeing, right? So I'm going to leave it alone. We'll just leave it alone for now. If you want to know, let me know, and we can talk about it. Anyway, we'll start out with college football. As you all know, it's hard to tell that I'm a Buckeye fan. Most of you know that by now. The Buckeyes, they played Grambling State. Should they, shouldn't they? All the teams out there's a lot of them. We'll talk about that in a sec too. But hey, Grambling got $1 million. You listen to Grambling, what they say is that pays for a lot of their athletic program throughout the year, most if not all their football program. So, it is like a scrimmage. It is like a preseason game. College doesn't have scrimmages. They don't allow it. NCAA doesn't allow it. They don't allow preseason games. So this is what you got. So that said, look, there's others before I get into the Buckeyes. Texas, San Jose State, FSU, East Texas A&M, Minnesota, Northwest State, Utah, Cal Poly, Alabama, UL Monroe, University of Louisiana Monroe, Miami, Bethune-Cookman. So on and on. So it's not exclusive. That don't make it right or wrong. Probably not as right as wrong, but anyway, let's get to the game itself. What did I want to see? I pretty much saw everything I wanted to see. I wanted to see the Buckeyes come out hot. I didn't want them to have a hangover from the Texas game. I wanted them to work on their passing game. I wanted them to do a little more running the ball. Wanted to see the backups get in. Wanted to see the defense, if they could continue to play well. They shut out Grambling. They held them to, a small amount of yards. I don't even know if they got 200 yards total offense. Sayin looked good. He's 18 of 19. He didn't throw an incompletion. 18 out of 18 to the Buckeyes and 1 interception. So 1 to Grambling. He was late on the pass. He knew it. Brian Day knew it. They talked about it. Let's move on. They got the second and the third string guys in there. Keenholz, he had a couple, looked like jitters there the first 2 passes. After that, he settled down. He looked good. Backup running backs, whether it's Williams-Dixon or Bo Jackson, they look good. Trying to think, did they get another? Oh, they had Isaiah West. I'll be honest, I forgot all about him, but he looked actually pretty good in mop-up duty. So, and by the way, Mickey Joseph, the head coach at Grambling State, asked him about Jeremiah Smith. He's like, he's a dude. He could have played for me. because Mickey Joseph was the wide receiver coach at LSU when they had Jordan Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Not too bad. Those guys aren't too bad, right? Pretty good wide receivers in the NFL. That's what I got out of Ohio State. There were some really good games, close games. Texas USF. By the way, what's with spitting, right? Was it Jalen Carter for the Eagles? He spits on Thursday night, spits on Big Loogie on Dak Prescott, kind of went right down his shirt, thrown out of the game 6 seconds in. And then the guy from the University of Florida, the defensive lineman, did he not learn anything from that game? Apparently freaking not, because he spits again on a USF player and again right in front of the referee. Out. And it might have, I don't remember if it certainly would have extended a drive. I don't know if it was a fourth down or third down, whatever it was, but it extended a drive because it was a 15-yard personal foul and he got ejected. And dumber. I mean, right? Come on. But, hey, so let's talk about a couple games. And I know this one's close to Brian Kedley's heart. He probably doesn't even know I'm going to talk about this. But Iowa loses the game to Iowa State in what they call the Cyhawk, Cyclones, Hawkeyes, the Cyhawk game. And I looked this up because I heard a little tidbit about it. Iowa's quarterback, Gronowski, not Gronkowski, but Gronowski. So this is his first year at Iowa. So he played 4 years at South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, right? Now, they're in the FCS division, but they play teams like North Dakota State, who's played pretty well against some Division I teams. In fact, they played pretty well in week one. They almost won, and they've beaten Division I teams before. But anyway, Gronowski, in his 4 years at South Dakota State, threw for 10,430 yards. And in the last 2 seasons at South Dakota State, threw for 3,058 and 2,721 yards. Why am I telling you this? Because in 2 games at Iowa, he's 21 out of 39, not the worst, right? 21 out of 39, but for 127 yards, averaging 3.3 yards per catch, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And by the way, at the end of the game against Iowa State, he was terrible. I mean, he takes 2 sacks. Maybe nobody's open. I get it. Throw the freaking ball away because at least it stops the clock. I mean, you get sacked. You got no timeouts. You're not stopping the clock. Come on, dude. You played 4 years at South Dakota State. You got to know how to play. And by the way, what's the head coach's name? I forgot already. The gray-haired guy. I keep thinking Hayden Fry, but it's, oh my God, I got a brain cramp. He'd been there 20 years. So, and he had to let his son go because he was the offensive coordinator. They just keep regurgitating the same offense over and over and over and over again. I mean, it doesn't change. It doesn't matter who the new coordinator is. So, I could see the guy's face. I mean, geez, oh man. Brain crampo. Maybe I'll get it before the end of this. The Duke game was a good game for a while. Illinois-Duke, and then Illinois pulled away. Let's see here. Let's take a look at some of this. Iowa State. Penn State, come on. Penn State, that game, they put it on in the second half. They're winning 10-0 against FIU in the first half. Come on, James Franklin. Where are we going here? What are we doing? Like my buddy Eddie at Ace would say, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Baylor SMU, good game. Went to OT. Baylor pulls it out over playoff contender last year, playoff contender, SMU from last year. And that was actually in 2 overtimes. There was another, other overtime games. One of the games I want to tell you about, Army. So Army loses in week 1 to Tarleton State. You heard of them? I heard them, but I don't know anything about them. Tarleton State. So this week they come back. They go to Manhattan, Kansas, and they beat Kansas State, right? I mean, great comeback, and they win the game. What about Kansas State? I mean, remember last year Avery Johnson he replaced Will Howard, so Will Howard transferred to Ohio State. We know what happened there, national championship, duh. But Avery Johnson, now this year, he's 1-2. They lose to Iowa State. They win against the Cupcake last week, and 1-2. That kind of eliminates Kansas State from certainly playoff contention unless they win out. But I don't know if a loss to Army is an eliminator right off the bat. Texas, they blew out San Jose State. I didn't even put them down as a playing a cupcake there. Oh, I did, but I forgot to mention them. But I guess I didn't see the game much. Saw some highlights, but saw the commentary. Arch Manning. He looked better, but he's still late on his throws, still overthrowing some balls. Had some receivers drop a few balls, too. The kid Ryan Wingo dropped another ball, probably a touchdown pass. So, these teams, we're still in the process. Speaking of teams that need to figure it out, Clemson. Who did they play? Damn. Clemson. I thought I wrote it down. By the way, UC Cincinnati, they put it on Bowling Green, so Eddie George got his first loss. Where is I don't know. Let's see, Clemson. They were losing. Were they not Boston College? They were losing 16-0. They win the game 27-16. They scored 27 unanswered points in the second half. But I mean, geez, oh man. Cade Klubnik didn't have a great game again. And, they came off of a big game. And so obviously they had a hangover, being down 16-0. So I don't know. I should be able to find that game. We could talk while I'm looking here. Clemson, Army, I talked about them. UF, I kind of touched on that with the spitting incident, but USF comes back. They beat Florida in the swamp, right? Florida in the swamp, which is, they used to be unbeatable in the swamp, but apparently not anymore. Now, USF, let's take a look at the gauntlet they're running. Not that Florida doesn't have they got another big game this week. I believe they play LSU. But USF, they play Boise State, they play the Gators in the swamp, and now I believe they go to Miami and play in Hard Rock Stadium. So I know they play Miami, but I think it's at Hard Rock also. Troy. Clemson played mighty Troy. They're losing 16-3 in the first half. They come back, score 17 in the third quarter, and then get a touchdown later in the game. So, the mighty men of Troy. And then UGA, they played Austin Peay. And why do I say that? Austin Peay should be a walkover, right? They only win 28-6. Gunnar Stockton didn't really have a great day. No touchdowns. So they got work to do. Point being, there are a lot of good teams out there, but some showed it. Oregon, nobody's talking a lot about them, but they won 69-3 over Oklahoma State. 66-point loss, Mike Gundy's worst loss ever. By the way, the worst loss Oklahoma State has incurred since 1907. That's 118 years it's been since they got beat that bad. Now that's some bad stuff. I was going to show you something. I don't know what I did with it. While I'm thinking about it, can't find it. Y'all know about commercial time. I'll give myself a commercial. Y'all know about the world famous Billy Bob's Backyard burlap koozies, can koozies, right? Well, I heard they're hard to find, so I got them on order. They are Billy Bob's Backyard Barbecue burlap thin can koozies. Now, that thin can koozie will fit either a thin can, like a Truly, a White Claw, a Celsius, Mick Ultra Zero, Corona Light, but they will also because they got a little neoprene in them. They're a little stretchy. They will fit an aluminum bottle like a Bud Light or a Mick Ultra. I don't know what other has the thinner, tall bottles. They're only an eighth of an inch wider than a thin can. So got those coming, probably a few weeks, and I'll let you know. So if you want them, you probably ought to buy a shirt or a hat or something with it, because hell, the shipping's outrageous. It'll kill you. You probably pay more for shipping than you will for a damn koozie. Oh, you might have to just take a trip. Let's see. Do I have any of the college stuff? I mean, there probably is something. Let me know in the comments in this video if there's something else you want to talk about. We could talk about it. We're already 15 minutes in. We haven't even talked about the NFL. Let's see here. NFL. All right. So let's talk about, because I am a Buckeye fan. Let's talk about the Buckeye wide receivers. Ohio State's becoming wide receiver U. Let's talk about this. Emeka Egbuka, Tampa Bay Bucks. 4 catches, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chris Olave, 7, New Orleans Saints. 7 catches, 54 yards. MHJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., not St. Louis Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals. 5 catches, 71 yards, longest 45, 1 touchdown. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Seattle Seahawks. 9 catches, 124 yards, longest 40, no touchdowns. And Garrett Wilson for the New York Jets, 7 catches, 95 yards, 33 the longest, and 1 touchdown. Catching passes from his old buddy at Ohio State, Justin Fields, who had a pretty darn good game. Looks like, speaking of that game, looks like Aaron Rodgers maybe suited better with the Steelers. And, it was kind of flip-flop because Fields was with the Steelers last year. Now he's the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers, Jets, now Steelers. So 34-32 was the game. It was pretty exciting. I didn't get to see much of it because, there's 8 TVs going at the same time. And I was focused on the Browns-Bengals. Boy, I don't know if I should have focused on that game. But, we'll talk about that in a sec. But the Bucks came back. They're playing in Atlanta against the Falcons. They pull it out 23-20. Browns-Bengals. Browns really should have won that game. They miss an extra point. They miss a field goal. They cut Dustin Hopkins, who was erratic last year, and they bring in this other guy. Name starts with S. I don't even know how to pronounce it. And he misses an extra point and a field goal to lose 17-16. Now, Joe Burrow looked at it as a positive, on the Bengals side, because he said a year ago, this is a game they would have lost because their defense would have sucked, or did suck last year. So, actually, Joe Flacco had a pretty good game. He had 2 picks, but both of those picks were right in receivers' hands. They didn't catch it, and then they were deflections off of their hands into Bengals defenders. So, but a couple bright spots, rookies. Well, Myles Garrett's always a bright spot, right? Had 2 sacks and was in the backfield all day. Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end out of Bowling Green, 7 catches. 7 catches, how many yards? I don't know. But they got good production out of the tight end position because David Njoku, 3 catches, 10 catches by the tight ends. And then rookie linebacker Corey Schlesinger, or Schlesinger. Yeah, Corey. 8 tackles. Pretty good day for 2 rookies. Browns signed Quinshon Judkins to a 4-year deal. I don't know that he was suited. I don't know if he's eligible yet. Don't know what the NFL's done there. So, Indianapolis Colts, Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are in trouble. They got their ass whipped by the Colts, who has a new quarterback, Daniel Jones, who wasn't very good with the New York Giants. In fact, he used to get replaced repeatedly by Tommy DeVito, and Tommy DeVito, who I don't know where he's playing now, somewhere, but he ain't playing for the Giants. And the Giants quarterback, Russell Wilson, just terrible. I mean, they supposedly had plays designed for Jackson Dart, never played Jackson Dart. Now I see Russell Wilson's announced as a starting quarterback against the Cowboys next week. That ought to be interesting. Woo, man! I hope Russell has his flak jacket on, and I hope Jackson Dart's ready to play. Jaguars, Panthers. You know, I don't know that either quarterback had a great game. Trevor Lawrence had 1 pick. Bryce Young, 2 picks. Jaguars scored 2 touchdowns, kicked through field goals. Raiders, Patriots, not a great start for Mike Vrabel in his opening game at home, his debut. But, you know, they got some stuff to work on there. New quarterback, Drake May. Cardinals, Saints, there ain't much I can say there. You got Kyler Murray versus Spencer Rattler. You know, Rattler's average. Kyler Murray's better than average. Commanders, Giants. Well, we just talked about the quarterback situation there, but the Commanders dominate them 21-6. Broncos over the Titans. Don't know anything about it other than the score. We know Bo Nix plays for the Broncos. I don't even know who the quarterback for the Titans was. Niners, Seahawks, 17-13, close game. Packers, they say, as advertised, whooped up on the Lions. The Lions have not looked good, even in some of their preseason stuff. So Dan Campbell better get that together pretty quick. And then the Rams over the Texans. C.J. Stroud, not sure what's going on with him. You know, sometimes you get the sophomore slump, but you know, his first game, not a great start. No TDs, 1 pick, and wasn't a lot of yards there either. So I took a look at what are some of the 5 things that, this is according to CBS Sports, some of the 5 things that were learned in week 1. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are both in a better place. I said Rodgers, I talked about the score of that game, but Aaron Rodgers probably had the best game he had in 2 years. I mean, probably the best. 4 TD passes. And the Jets look like they're in a better place. They played a pretty good game. Obviously, defense, both teams give up points, but Justin Fields did an okay job passing, got couple running touchdowns. And the Miami Dolphins, second thing that was learned, Miami Dolphins are in deep trouble. Tua got picked a couple times, sacked 3 times. His next concussion is only right around the corner. Number 3, the Jackson Dart era is all but imminent. Well, yeah, Russell Wilson keeps playing the way he is. It is all but imminent. The Packers hype is absolutely correct. I told you that was. And then the last thing, Dave Canales, coach at Carolina Panthers, says he might have a QB problem. Now, I didn't really get into that other than I told you that Bryce Young did not have a great game. He finished the end of the year on a little bit of an up note, but first game, tough, don't know. Panthers suck, you know, or Jaguars suck. Panthers might, Panthers suck. Yeah, Jaguars might suck too, but Panthers, I think, suck the worst. And that may go on, although, you know, the Brownies, I think it was ESPN, experts said the Browns are only going to win 6 games this year, so we'll see. They play a tough game this weekend. They play the stinking Ravens. So Buckeyes, real quick. Buckeyes, you know, that game against OU, you would think it's like, somebody said it's like a knife cutting through butter, but Ohio U, there's a game I didn't touch on. Ohio U, West Virginia with their new coach, Rich Rod, second time back at West Virginia, goes to Athens, Ohio, and the Bobcats beat the West Virginia Mountaineers. So they lost their first game by 3 to Rutgers, 34-31. They scored 31 points on Rutgers. I don't know how good Rutgers is this year, but they've been better since. Oh man, I got trouble with coaches today. The guy who was at Miami and he was at Ohio State and, you know, is the defensive coordinator. I can see his face too. Man, oh man, I am. What is his name? Schiano, Greg Schiano. There you go. I got one. I still can't figure out the Iowa coaches. Oh, crazy. We're at 25 minutes. That's enough for me. That's enough for you. Hey, follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You're probably not even watching the end, so I'm telling you. I should say this at the beginning of the show, right? Instagram, X, TikTok. America, land of the free because of the brave. Stay focused, America. Billy Bob, peace out.